Hey guys, long time no see. I want to come on here so I could do my review of the Tom Clancy's movie called Without Remorse on Prime. Tom Clancy is an author who mostly writes about espionage military books, and then they've chosen to take some of them over to the movie, part of Hollywood. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so our lead actor, the lead character is John Kelly, played by Michael B. Jordan, sexiest man alive for a reason. We know him from Creed 1, Creed 2, Black Panther, and Just Mercy. Then we have Pam Kelly, who's his wife in the movie, played by Lauren London. We know her from ATL, the game, the show that was on BET, I think it was, and the games people play. That was a good one. And then we have Karen Greer, played by Jodie Turner-Smith from Queen and Slim. Hello. Love this movie. We have Robert Ritter, played by Jamie Bell. We know him from Jumper, Fantastic Four, and Rocket Man. And we have Keith Webb, played by Cam I'm not going to say this last name right. Okay, Cam Gigandet from Burlesque, Never Back Down, and Never Back Down. Those are two of his big ones. Then we have a character, Rowdy, played by Luke Mitchell, and he's from Blind Spotting, The Tomorrow People, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay? I have to keep checking this because sometimes my recording will just shut off. Okay, so this movie starts in Syria, and it's a mission that the military's on, basically. So Kelly, our main character, John Kelly, he's sent on a mission with his team, including Greer, Webb, and Rowdy. And man, it starts off cold-blooded. Let me say this. Okay, so at the beginning, it's like you see these, gosh, it looks like a third world country set up. The buildings are rubbish and bricks, and it's a bad looking place. Like, you could tell some damage has gone on there. And there's these military guys, and they're just sort of walking around looking out, and one of them goes over to what looks like what used to be a pool in this area. It's now like darkened water, and he goes over there to rinse his face off, and when he does it, somebody pulls him underneath the water, and then slowly you see three men rise up from underneath the water. Of course, they had oxygen masks on, and they take down the team of guys that were outside of the pool. And the first thing that you see with this group of men in this group, they're obviously U.S. SEALs, and they move together like art. Like, the way they move together with looks, they can say a lot to each other, and that's the first thing you pick up on when you see this opening scene. Okay, so there, right after there, they go and meet with and are briefed by the CIA agent Ritter, who tells them that they are rescuing a hostage held by Syrian government forces. This is all the information he has. That's it. They're like, well, do you know how many men they are? And he's like, no, I don't know. He's basically useless. And in this moment when they're talking to him, you could see John Kelly rubs him the wrong way. It didn't go off well between these two. And Kelly's team members are seeing this as well, and they're picking up on it and even talking shit to Ritter, basically, because they can tell what's going on. Okay, so like I said, next to no information on this one he gave him. Okay, so then they actually go in and they do save the hostage that they set out to get. And then at that moment, it's only to realize that he was being held by Russian military. Ritter, this is brought up to Ritter by Kelly, and Kelly's like, Ritter is like, I don't see any Russian spies here or whatever. He acts like dumb to this fact, but it's obvious that it's Russian, not Syrian. Okay, so after they save this guy, they then get attacked and they're fighting, and Kelly loses some of his men during this little attack, and they also realize that where they're at, they've gone downstairs now, and that there's quite a bit of weapons there that are Russian weapons, and they're noticing this while they're in the midst of trying to get out of being attacked. So when they leave, Kelly is really pissed at Ritter, who knew basically that they were fooling with Russians and didn't say anything to him. to the point that when they get on the helicopter that has come to evacuate them, he like lunges at him basically because Ritter wasn't he wasn't upfront about stuff. Okay, so then we see Kelly at home with his pregnant wife, played by Lauren London, and they're at a family members, looks like barbecue, a lot of family, and they're very happy together. And this is Lauren London's first acting gig after Nipsey passed away, and she talked about taking this role, and part of the reason that she did was number one because Michael B. Jordan called her to ask her to, come back basically, and this was a good way for her to do so. And part of what you see there is that a part of what she plays in this movie is part of what she actually experienced herself with the passing of her husband, basically. Okay, so like I said, happy at home. When they get home, when they're at the barbecue talking to his family member, he's explaining that he's retiring from the military and he's moving to a private security job, basically, so he could be home. It's much safer, probably pays well too. Okay, so then we see Rowdy at home, and he's with his family, and his wife asks him to take out the trash, which he does. And when he's out there, he is very obviously, purposely ran over very fast by a van, and he's murdered. He's killed. Okay, and that happened in South Carolina. Then they switch over to Webb, another one of his team members. He's in Georgia, and he's stuck in traffic, and he's on the phone with his wife or girlfriend or whatever, and he's behind a van that the back doors open up, and they open fire and murder him right there on the street. Okay, so those two go down. Then we see John going home with his wife, and she gets in the bed, and he's going to go downstairs and listen to music because he's not ready to go to sleep yet. And she tells him don't be down there all night because this is something he does with his, headset on. So he goes down there listening to music, and his house is broken into by 4 men, I think it was, and they go straight to the bedroom, kill the wife, realize he's not in there. However, one of the things they also do is one of them shoots another one, like kills him, and it was intended because he literally turns around and he's like, "Are you ready?" And he's like, "Yeah." And mind you, they all have masks on that cover their face. All right, so he kills this dude as if he's sitting right where John would have if he was sitting in bed. He shoots him, kills him in the bedroom. And then John ends up realizing sort of what's going on and creeps upstairs and ends up being able to take out a couple of these guys, kill them. But the last guy that he shot at also shot him. So he was hit like twice in the chest. And this guy ended up having to take his mask off because his night vision goggles were messed up because the flashlight was shining right in his face as he was lying on the ground. Anyway, John's able to see his face at this point. Okay, from there we go on to John going to the hospital. He's in the hospital. He's in there for a while, unconscious basically after all this happened. He ends up going through hell basically. They show him having a scene where he's dreaming about his wife, and it's very realistic because it's like they're sort of laying there happy together, and this strong wind comes and rips her away from him, which is ultimately what happened, along with his baby girl that he never got to meet. So basically, the remaining team members were placed under security and protective custody, and this was made clear when Ritter has a briefing basically with some of the government members, and he states that during a meeting, the Navy SEALs can be into anything from drugs, arms, and info, basically stating that these guys could have brought on what happened to them by being dirty. That's pretty much what he's saying here. Okay, and Greer is pissed. She goes in on him, and she tells him, "My men were not dirty, and you know this," basically. So then we see Kelly recovers in the hospital, and he ends up having to go through physical therapy. You see him go through a bit of hell there, basically, but not really giving too much fuck because everything he cared about is gone. So Greer is there with him. He wants answers, basically, okay? The Secretary of Defense, played by Guy Pearce. If you guys don't know him, you should. Oh, gosh, what was that movie? Memento. That's a good movie. Guy Pearce played an excellent role in there. Okay, he shows up to speak with Greer, and he's wanting to know um, if Kelly can be trusted, basically. Good job. Paper stack. All right, so Kelly goes through. Oh, I already said that. Okay, so the Secretary of Defense makes Ritter debrief Greer, basically, about the Russians, basically, who were the attackers that they found at Kelly's house and how they considered this now. Now, mind you, these are Russian soldiers or whatever they are that came and attacked and murdered on U.S. soil, and basically saying that it's cool. That this has been settled basically, and let me see. It's settled because Kelly and his men killed an important Russian man during the mission they were on. The one that Ritter lied to them about and said that they were Syrian? Yeah, that one. Okay, so Ritter is not concerned with the man Kelly saw basically get away, because that's what Greer had told, he saw one of them basically, and he says he's not concerned. The CIA considers that this case is closed basically. So Greer goes and tells Kelly this basically, and she tells him what was found and how basically it's considered even. They're not going to do anything. She gives him pictures of the ones that he killed in his home and lets him know that basically anyone remaining is untouchable. Okay, so Kelly goes home and you see him. Michael does some really good acting in this movie. You see him kind of lose his shit because it's the first time visiting the house after being out of the hospital, and he plays it off well, basically. And you see him go into his water heater, and this is so genius. I know, obviously, we haven't thought about this. He has a bag that's full of like weapons, IDs, money. Like he's a U.S. Navy SEAL, and he's trained all the way around as far as being ready to go on a dime. And this is what you see him grab his bag to go. And then we see him in a hotel room. Basically, I'm not going to go blow by blow. Basically, what you see is him digging himself into this situation to figure out how to find out exactly who came after him, his wife, his daughter, the rest of his team members who were murdered. And he does so in a very original way, okay? From pissing on his clothes and overly drinking and dousing himself with alcohol to go to a hotel to find out what are the main guys basically there who has something to do with what happened to him. And he ends up chasing this guy down, and that's the part that you see in the preview for this movie, which was so good. He causes this huge car crash, and then he covers his car in gas, lights it on fire, and then gets in the car with the motherfucker like, I'll need answers. I need it. It was so good. You do see a lot of this there's parts of this movie that we have seen before, from our government being the bad guy, being the one to dig the knife in and twist it on their own soldiers. You see a regular good soldier willing to go from being regular good and I fight for my country to this motherfucker don't care about me, and now I'm turning it all the way around on its head and I'm going after these fools the way that I want to. Okay, so then you also see, at the end, they pull the professional thing to where the only way he's getting out of this is he has to dress up like an EMT officer, an EMT person, to escape the position that he's in. And then you're able to see him go back for revenge. This movie was actually really good, guys. I was surprised. If I had to give it a score, I guess I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's good. It's not great. Definitely worth a watch. And it's on Prime. I think everyone I know almost has Prime free, y'all. So go ahead, watch this movie, and get down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about it as well. And thank you so much for watching, fam. See you next time. Bye-bye.